and we have a pandemic, and then you're also talking about, you know, self-care and wellness as it pertains to the mind. And and we're in the middle of a really transformative time in society right now with everything that's going on. So perfect timing. Isn't it interesting how it works out that way? So yeah, thank you for being here. And I guess let's just start with some of your thoughts and ideas about how we can take care of ourselves right now and take care of others.
Yes, I always believe in giving from a full cup and also giving from abundance. So now is actually the best time to focus even more on our self-love, self-care, because my goal is to be here even long after all of this for the aftermath and to help and to be of service. And if I don't make it through, it's not going to happen. And I think that's really an important message. And I know the other night we had a social hour call, and I said, I'm saying something very controversial, because I'm like, forget about the, you know, how we talk about the changing the me into the we.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's actually more important now to talk about the me, because the me has to be fulfilled and grounded. And then we can help and show up for the we, because we can't give from a place of an empty cup. And so I would say that, you know, being someone who had been through a lot of uncertain times, being a Vietnamese boat person from the age of 9, I came to this country, you know, escaping out of Vietnam with my mom, and I almost drowned. So for me, my life, I got a second chance. And so that's why I'm passionate about life, because, you know, I almost didn't make it. And at 9 years old, I thought I was drowning, and I thought, okay, no one's coming. And I knew it, you know, talk about life passed before you. And I'm like, okay, I'm surrendering. And then luckily I was saved by this Malaysian village fisherman who saw my little red shirt floating in the water, and he fished me out. And I just felt from that moment on, everything is icing on the cake. It has
Oh my gosh.
And I am meant to be here. I mean, years ago when I used to give this talk, and I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't supposed to be here. And my son was correcting me. He goes, oh no, mom, you were meant to be here, because there's no you, there's no me. And so I think that's the philosophy I adopt in, you know, having my spiritual path, my life, and creating a life. Is like, I have to know that everything is happening as it is meant to be. And I have to have the vision of making it through. Because with every breakthrough, there's going to be some breakdown, you know, there's going to be some rough patches, and we're in a really rough patch, and we don't know how long. And there's so many things that are out of our control. You know, we are living in Santa Monica. All the protests and all the things are happening right outside my window. I can hear it. It triggers so much out of me emotionally. Because I have lived in a war zone. I have lived under the police state. I've been under martial law. This is all happening right here, right now. So I got my limbic system was triggered last Monday. It was a mess. I was like crying on and off, coming outside, seeing all the businesses all boarded up. And then I see all the Santa Monicans, all the neighbors coming out to clean up. And that was so heartwarming. It moved me to tears, you know? And that's the message, you know. We need to continue to, you know, be a community, and reach out. You know, I'm feeling like I think of myself, and I think I share with you, I feel like I have a pretty strong spiritual practice, and I'm very grounded and very centered, and I love to help, and I'm going crazy. So imagine the people out there who is alone, who lives alone. And I always say, you know, isolation doesn't have to mean disconnection. More so than ever, the important life tool to have is to be able to ask for help, and you have to have community. And when you take care of yourself, be safe, be smart. We need to make it through so we can help. And then once you're, you know, you have a little bandwidth, please reach out to your loved ones, your family, your friends, and say, hey, are you okay? Because sometimes all we need is someone to just listen, you know? Yeah. So I definitely had so much emotions and thoughts about all of this. And I feel like, yeah, I've been trained my whole life for this moment.
Wow, that's got to be an interesting insight. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that goes for actually a lot of us, because for most of us, we've never seen anything. I mean, you've seen some things that I've never seen, but in my lifetime here, despite the fact that we've had protests and unrest and things, there's something different about this. Maybe it's because it's on the heels of the coronavirus, or maybe it's just a more significant moment in some way. Yeah, it's really powerful, and it does. It occupies your mind. It's something that is creating anxiety, stress, lack of sleep, inability to focus, all kinds of things, that people are experiencing, and it's difficult.
And if, especially if you're a sensitive person, you're
That's
going
right.
to feel, because it's the collective energy is out. We're all one in that collective sense, in the spiritual laws, and it's all about moving away from mankind into humankind, is what I would say to you. And I say, the more sensitive you are, the more you're going to take that on. So it's so important right now to fortify yourself, to get grounded, center, put a protection around you. And then, start to be more aware and awake than you already are, so that you understand a lot of time how we grow up. I mean, I was born in the middle of the war. That's my operating system that I was born into.
Right.
And so we all have to recognize all of our triggers and know that, oh, there are unprocessed trauma and things. That's why we're triggered. And so we don't have to take it all on. Actually, I'm writing a little memoir about my journey over to America, being on the boat. But my publisher, Cindy Olson, she said, remember the 80-20 rule, and only process what's in front of you, and it's 20%. And you can process the other later.
Interesting.
You don't have to do it all at once, because you want it to be able to cope, because otherwise it's so heavy, and you can't handle it all at once.
Yeah, I was just speaking with a client actually, and who last week was very positive about finding a new job and all these things, and feeling there was a lot kind of in the works. All of a sudden this week comes in. It was that week where we were just going to start opening, so people were starting to feel that hope, that things might be on the upswing, and then this week is an entirely different energy. And we have that conversation that the energy out there is what we're all feeling. And so, even if everything is great in your own life, you're still, if you are sensitive, like you were saying, you'll feel all of it.
If you have a heart, you're going to feel. There's a lot of atrocities happening. It's been happening. We're just shedding the light onto it. And life as we know it has changed. It needed to be. It needs to be. You can't go on the way we've been. So
right.
So
yeah, and I mean,
I have to hold the vision, the hope that it is all going to a better place.
That's what I've been doing as well, because you're right. We needed this. We've ignored problems that we've had in this country for a long time. And in any relationship, you can't just ignore your problems and hope they go away. They have to be addressed and dealt with. And so, it's unnerving and it's unsettling, and because we don't know where it's going to go, it's scary. But at the same time, it's an opportunity. It's a moment to change the world and change how people operate and get along and see each other and speak to one another. So I'm with you. I'm just hoping this is all for the better. And
it is. I have to believe that it is.
Yeah, I do too. I can't really go on if I don't believe that, actually.
No, because what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I do think there is some general sense of that, but it is difficult for people. And what I was talking about with the client is that what felt like, things were moving along well last week, now this week, and you can go so far down that road of, I'll never get a job. Now at first it was the pandemic, now it's this, and you can go pretty quickly to nothing is ever going to work out again, and so I like your ability to recenter and come back to a place where you can think positively again.
Yeah, it's a practice. And our fear is our protection. And when we went to something traumatic, of course, that, next time we see something that puts us in that space, we're going to be like, ooh, I'm feeling the prickly fear coming up. And you have to remember to proceed with caution, and also to be very present, to be vigilant with your awareness and your presence, because you got to remember you have to deal with what's in front of you, and not be so attached to the past, because the way we respond to fear, we're all so different. Some people fight back, some people flee, some people stay quiet and become invisible. If you have the awareness and recognize that, then you can say, call yourself out and say, oh, that's where I go invisible. Okay. It's so important to just be with what is, because all of your emotions are valid. All of your feelings are valid, as long as you don't let it run your life.
Right. Yeah. I think trying to squelch the feelings right now isn't the answer.
No.
But like you say, to acknowledge them and recognize them, and then so how do you get back to a place of positivity and kind of?
Yeah. So I also believe in a course in miracles. And one of the things I love is they say that miracles are a natural occurrence. So whether or not you see them. So I tell myself that I'm a unicorn and that I look for glitter and rainbows. It sounds stupid, but that's my inner dialogue, to tell myself, to train myself to look for the miracles, because what you focus on expands. So where do you want to put your attention? The challenges will come as it comes, because there's no control over that. None of us have any control. So I just rather be really present. And if something comes up, then I'll deal with it. I mean, simply, let's just say, I don't think about doing laundry because I'm so busy, whatever. And then all of a sudden, okay, I have no more clean clothes. Guess what? There's no choice. There's no thinking. I'll just wash my clothes.
Right.
And I'm making it simple to be funny, but that's how I want to approach everything. I just want to say, keep your eye on the prize, see yourself past this. And then in the moment, what are the options? If we get really present to what is, just like, oh my God, I have no job, I don't have an income, I don't know when an income is coming, then first of all, we need to just assess, well, what are my skills? Because we might have to think outside the box in order to keep afloat and to navigate. You can't always rely on old systems. And we have so many skills to us. We're all multifaceted, and that's why we hear people don't just have one career nowadays. They have many. I become kind of a jack of all trade. I started out in high school as a cosmetologist, and I work in Hollywood as a celebrity nail stylist to this day. That had been my bread and butter. But then I have other aspirations, and all I ever want to be is to be of service. So I love the service industry. And so, I started coaching and I started sharing my journey, because I think my approach is authenticity. And when you become strong enough, you can show your vulnerability. And so when I show my vulnerability, like, I'm not perfect, but I know I put my heart in the right place. And I worked on all these different practices, and I take in, and I'm like a sponge. I absorb in, like, any pearls of wisdom that came out of you. Believe me, I took note, and I'm going to be using it. I'm just like, Michelle said that to me the other day, and like, that's how I operate. So I want to look for the rainbows. I want to look for the silver linings. And one of the silver lining is I have lots of time for self-care right now.
I know. Right. It is. I mean, it's been, until right now, it has been a silver lining in terms of having to stay home. I mean, I'm sure I've talked about it before, the amount of driving I was doing that I'm not doing now, and all of that. And so there was a blessing in it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So now is the time to get your home in order, get your heart in order, get your physical health in order, and what you put in your body, on your body, around you, and body, mind, spirit connections, and also your relationships. Take care of the relationships that are in your life. And then, think about all the people that maybe we haven't talked to in a while. Wonder how he or she is doing. Call them up. You miss someone, call them. I'm very old school in that way. I'll pick up the phone and call somebody.
Yeah, no, that I agree. I think that's the best way actually. But yeah, really interesting. And you brought up a point that I hadn't planned to talk about, but your career, which we talk a lot about careers and business here, you have already, I guess, instinctively done what I think a lot of people have decided to do since the pandemic, which is diversify your work. Maybe have multiple revenue streams. Don't necessarily rely on that job that could end at any moment, or even that business that can have ups and downs, or be shut down at a moment's notice, like we've seen. So,
Yeah. Well, like I said, I started out in high school. I went to Cal State Northridge, and I was going for this whole executive business, women in business kind of, that was what I saw myself. And there's a woman in business. And then I think what happened is along the way, I fell in love. I got married and had my son. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want the corporate ladder. That's not for me anymore. I don't want the 9 to 5, nothing wrong about change my mind. I want to be able to work around my son's schedule, because what's the point of having him? Because I waited a long time. I didn't have my son until I was like 37.
Right.
And now he's 14. And I say to myself along the way, as soon as I thought about having a child, having a family, I said, I'm going to start freelancing. And just recently, one of our members of the Santa Monica chapter, he said something, and I thought it was so true. He said, your goal should be to have 7 streams of income.
Interesting.
I'm like, 7 streams. Oh,
that's a lot.
Yeah. And it's all about, and in business, I'm all about doing what makes your heart sing. And that's my chapter in our book that we're writing together. It's because, how you do anything is how you do everything. And you want to do everything with love and joy and enthusiasm, because then it's sustainable. I don't want to be in a business where I'm miserable. I could be making tons of money, but where's that leading me? I'm miserable going to work. I don't want to do that. And so I created things that I like to do. And I asked myself, how can I be of service? How can I serve someone? Because it feels so good. And while I'm serving my clients, I'm feeling really good. I'm getting that happy energy from them. I soak in the frequency of positivity and love, and it's what I thrive on. And that's why I love community. Like, creating community is so important, and especially now, because sometimes you lose your way and sometimes you're down, and it's nice to have a base that you touch in and you connect in, so you can have them reflect back to you the good things about you that you may not have seen anymore.
Yeah, I think especially as an entrepreneur, oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do without my various communities. I mean, after you've been in business for a while, there's so many of them. And, but I can't imagine actually still doing my business without that. It's just such a network of support, resources, answers, friends. I mean, it just I couldn't have done it. So,
well, then you and we both been on this path without knowing it, because that is the future. The future is all about collaborations. The future is all about joint ventures, and how to get anything. The way to success is to help others get what they want and need. And, because then all of a sudden things are just being brought up on a silver platter for you, right? People asking you, hey, would you like to do this? And you're like, yeah, that sounds really great.
Yeah.
It's all about no efforting, no seeking, searching anymore. I'm all about, let that shows up that was meant for me show up, and I think I told you, I'm like, I respond to things much easier. I get excited about things, like today I was on another show. And so you said to me, hey, any interest? I'm like, well, I'm already in that space, then why not?
Right. Yeah. No, that's so fantastic.
Like, calendar, and I'm like, everything else can wait.
Well, thank you for that.
We have a today at 6:00 versus 2 p.m. It had it been yesterday, I would have said I'd love to, but I can't. I got to go get groceries.
Yeah. Well, you're very busy too, and this was another thing I hadn't planned to talk about. But you do have multiple businesses and a son, and a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I've never seen you when you weren't smiling and radiating wonderful energy. So do you have any tricks that way as well?
Yes, I would say to myself, like again, I can't stress enough what it's like to be present, and to be with what is.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we embrace what is, it is so much easier. It's so much lighter because you don't have to pretend to be anything else but you are. And so, and I, yes, my persona is about love and positivity and all of that, but I don't do what we call spiritual bypasses. We all have challenges, and I had a challenging life. What do I
Mm-hmm.
focus on? I don't mean to say that that didn't happen. I actually use that for fuel for my passion now. Look
Oh,
at where I
interesting.
came from. Look at these
Mm-hmm.
challenges that I had to overcome as a refugee coming to
Mm-hmm.
this country without speaking the language. I mean, English is my third language.
Wow.
And, I was Vietnamese. I was in a French Catholic school. And then coming here, I had to learn English. And I
Wow.
assimilated quite well. I love it here. And, and also the challenges of being a woman
Mm-hmm.
and a woman in business and
Mm-hmm.
then a single mother, like all
Mm-hmm.
these challenges. And I know I speak to my audience or my clients who had gone through what I have gone through. They understand because it's not easy. Having a successful relationship with anyone is not easy. It takes
Right.
work, it takes love and dedication and intention. So my
Mm-hmm.
intention is to stay positive, to always look for what are my resources. So I
Mm-hmm.
became very resourceful, like in any situation. I'm like, well, I'm okay with accepting what is. I make sure that there were things I am not, if I don't have control over that, I'm going to let it go.
Right.
If I have no control over it, what's the point of lamenting? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
just causing yourself pain and suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, as a practice, I ask myself, okay, I'm in this situation. What are my choices?
Yeah.
What are my choices? What are my options? I'm an activist with Cancer Schmancer, and we talked about, let's not get cancer in the first place.
Right.
But God forbid you get the diagnosis. Now you ask yourself, what are my options? Because it's so personal for every woman.
Yeah.
If you want to do chemo, if you don't want to do chemo, if you want to do alternative,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, you want to educate yourself. You want to take control of your body. So talk about taking control of your life,
Mm-hmm.
body, mind, and spirit. So I'm
Right.
always telling myself I'm in control of that, but not controlling over, like, if I was feeling something, I am quite indulgent. I let
Mm-hmm.
myself feel.
Right.
But
Right.
that feeling, I know whatever it is, it doesn't last forever. That's the good part that I learned.
Yeah.
Eventually, this too shall pass. Good or
Mm-hmm.
bad, this too shall
Mm-hmm.
pass. So if it's a good
Exactly.
moment, I'm all about let's celebrate, let's have a good time. And if it's a sad moment, I'm like, yeah, this really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
This really sucks. And that's all I can say about it. And I could be a mess, a puddle,
Yeah.
and but I give myself a little bit of time to feel what I feel, and then again get back to my pragmatic self and say, well,
Mm-hmm.
what are my choices, what can I do? So I feel the
Yeah.
same way when I meet my clients where they're at. Like some people, it could be as simple as like, can you help, because I help people with all sorts of things. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
transformational coach, so they might have me come over to maybe do a clearing, whether it's their altar, whether it's their closet, or do styling. I do styling not from just a fashion sense. I love fashion because I've been, a part of the glam squad in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I love beauty, but also from a spiritual, energetic sense. When I asked you to put on that outfit and the way you sashay around the room, I'm like, that's your outfit. That makes you feel all sexy because you move differently,
Yeah.
and that's what I look for. I look for the authentic you, the light within, because we all have it. We're born
Mm.
with it. We forget, with all the things that we have to deal with in life, it's heavy.
Yeah.
And I consider spiritual work and self betterment is not just a luxury; it's a necessity. But I feel blessed that I can focus on it, that I spend the time to do it, and so I'm
Right.
always ready to share, and help people, and having rituals and practices in place,
Mm-hmm.
because rituals don't really mean anything sometimes, but it's there as a place of remembrance and
Yeah.
something that we lean into. And the
Yeah.
barometer for anything I do at all is how do I feel? Am I
Mm-hmm.
relaxed doing that? Or do I feel like the tension in my neck and shoulders,
Yeah.
So if I feel relaxed, if it makes me happy, I do it.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah. And that's kind of, it sounds like to me, kind of what you've done with your career as well, not just
yeah.
which is pretty admirable. That's not easy for people to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love it personally, because I feel like people should find work that makes their heart sing. And of course,
Yeah.
there are times in your life when that's more difficult, but I think, that has to contribute to all your happiness and good energy.
It does, because it really, like I say, how you do anything is how you do everything. Because I fall into the stereotype in LA, Vietnamese manicurist, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I made quite a career out of it. I'm,
Right.
one of the top manicurists here in LA, and I love what I do. Um, the experiences that I have from that, it's amazing. And people say, "Wow, you're so educated, and that's what you do." And I'm like, "Yeah, it makes me happy. I get to hold
Hmm.
hands with people,
Yeah.
dignitaries, fashion models, whatever. I
Yeah.
um, I just love it. Just naturally falls into my lap. And at the time, it was the opportunity for me to raise my son. Like, if I
Hmm.
was giving a manicure and he calls me and it's an emergency, I'm gonna go.
Right.
And thank God, manicure, having your nails done is not the end of the world. It's not
Right.
taking death, you know?
Yeah, we've learned that because we haven't been able to do it for
Yeah,
2 months or
so
3 months.
I can say, fine, go. So that was like
Yeah.
grateful. And that's the thing. The attitude of gratitude is very important. So whatever
Hmm.
you decide to do, if you're going to spend time and energy doing something, you might as well know that you're doing it for a good cause. Either it makes you
Right.
happy or it gets you to the next step or the
That's
next
right.
place that you want to be at. Because sometimes
Right.
we have to do things we don't like. But
Yeah, no question about that.
this is to
Hmm.
help you to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I never really thought about that kind of bias about, people asking you, why would you choose to do this when you have an education or whatever. But yeah, it's so interesting to me how people, so, it's not necessarily easy for you to in stand up for yourself necessarily in that. And we have so many preconceived ideas about everything, so it's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
um, and I think that's what promotes a lot of people going into things they don't want to do or that don't make them happy, because they're satisfying other people's preconceived ideas of what they should do.
Yeah, and sometimes it's your parents. I come from a cultural generational cultural idea. My parents, of course, back then thought, I should be a doctor, or I should
Hmm.
be a lawyer,
Right.
and those blue collar positions and what have you. And all I want to do is be happy.
Yeah.
Um, you know, um, that saying, like, the happiest people on earth are not the people who has everything, but
Hmm.
the happiest people are the people who are happy with everything they've got. And
Right.
that's
Right.
where I want to go. I want to be happy with every single thing I have in my life, whether
Wow.
it's possessions, things, or people.
Yeah.
And I'm very particular, and I'm just letting that come to me, because
Hmm.
it's very easy. It's kind of like a flower. It's kind of leaning into the sun and leaning into the wind, and you're going with the flow of life, and that's kind of nice to not have to fight things,
It's very nice.
as much as we can. Again,
Right.
that's just the philosophy, and then there's the reality.
Hmm.
Sometimes, yes, you have to stand up and stand up for your rights.
Yeah, I love that you said that too, because people will, sometimes discount philosophies like that because of their reality. And
Mm.
as you said, things will change. And so having the philosophy as kind of the umbrella that you can lean into, when you can't, okay, but then you can keep moving toward that place where you can again. And
Yeah,
I think
like
that's
one step
important.
a day, right?
Right.
But you have to have the vision. You have to
Hmm.
know what it is that your heart desire, and you follow that light. And
Yeah.
along the way is the journey, and that's just part of life. And if I remember reading The Alchemist, and it's all about the journey, and I'm like, yeah, it's all about the journey, and it takes you back home. And for me, I often say, we're all homesick for ourselves. You know, how do we get to be home, home in our body, home in ourself, in our soul, our spirit, because we are love. We are great frequency. We keep dimming the lights because of all the responsibilities and because of what life is. But if we can just open up and go back home, we're limitless.
Yeah.
Free,
Yeah,
right?
we are limit free. And I think, you know, as you say that, I think of everything that's going on right now. And I think that it's just a world full of, you know, people who all want to feel like they can go home and be themselves and be loved. And, you know, I mean,
How
that's,
would we be if we get to be loved for exactly who we are?
yeah,
Flaws and all, you know?
yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's an innate desire that we don't necessarily recognize or put into words very often. But, and I
Yeah.
think that's what's bubbling up right now, that
Totally.
everyone should have an equal opportunity for that. And everybody should,
Yeah.
you know, be given the pathway.
And then I think that's also the success in business is not just to be paid for what you do, but to be well compensated to be who you are. I think
Yeah.
that's the ultimate goal. Like we get to
Right.
be ourselves, you know,
Right.
and be of service.
Mm-hmm.
You know, get compensated for our gifts because people like us don't grow on tree. You know, we have, you know, everybody have their own gifts. And so,
Right.
you know, you want to tap into that. You know, if I was going to, I don't know, call a plumber, I kind of like to pick the geek who likes to play with pipes, you know, that's his specialty and he loves doing it. Like,
Right. Exactly.
something that you love to do, even if you weren't getting paid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the person I want to hire, you know?
Right.
Or someone who likes to paint, you know? Oh my God, I need painting. I want to find someone who loves it versus someone who's just doing it for a job.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting. I don't think we're going to have time to get into it very deeply, but boy, now that you're bringing it up, I'd love to sometime. The whole concept of being compensated, and you know, you are you know, at the head of a community full of healers and people who are very much in service to others. And so there is in that world a little bit of a disconnect between earning money and offering what you offer. And oh, it's frustrating to me because we don't have very much time. But do you want to just have like a quick comment on that? Because I know you see it and
Yes,
understand it.
I am very inspired by our community because it is an amazingly beautiful tapestry of healers and light workers and empaths, and I love surrounding myself with that. And I also am an entrepreneur, so I want to lead the community with the idea that we need to take a look at our relationship to money and a relationship to success and a relationship to abundance because we need to feel that because I want the community to thrive because the world needs us more than ever. We need all these healers and you know, light workers because that's the aftermath I'm talking about because I don't know how long this is going to be. And so I constantly wanted to create a community where we can collaborate and help each other because, you know, like we learn such things at, you know, at our meetings and stuff. You know, I give people 30 seconds to do an elevator pitch. Well, now is the time about visibility. You know, you can't heal anybody if they don't know you exist. You know, and then, you know, bringing that out. And then we have all these, you know, when you were on the panel, it's like these tips and tools. I want to have every meeting be almost like a workshop to help my healers to understand it's okay to be good in business. It's okay to get compensated for your gifts because we appreciate you and we need you to thrive. We need you to sustain yourself. If you can't pay rent, then we won't get your healing gifts. Right. You know? Right. And so I'm all about that. So I completely believe in, yeah, I'm okay with receiving compensation to be who I am because I give all of my heart and soul into everything I do. You know, if you hire me to do something, I'm not going to do it half-ass, you know. I don't even want to do anything half-ass for myself, you know, let alone, you know, being of service. So, and that's not our community. So I'm like, I really want to keep us moving forward in business, holistic community.
Yeah. Well, why don't you go ahead and give us a little more info on the community you're talking about and how people can learn about that and some of the other things that you have going on.
Yeah. So, if anybody is watching this and would like to come check out the Santa Monica Holistic Chamber of Commerce, we have a meeting every third Tuesday of the month. You can be a guest a couple of times and come meet our beautiful, experts of healing businesses. Originally, when I took the chapter, it was all about, the healers. But now I have opened it up to any heart center business people who are here to be of service. So we have social media experts, we have business coaches, we have website designer. We want to bring all these people together because the whole together we rise, and
Right.
we all have our expertise to help one another. So you can look me up there. We have a social hour first Monday of every month, free to everyone to join us, especially now with the virtual. And then, on my own, I am writing my memoir about my journey out of Vietnam on the boat. And Cindy Olson from our chapter is my publisher. We're trying to push this out in 2 months. And then you and I together with 12 other experts, we're writing a book, the itty bitty book of how to thrive in all times, even now. And that's where we all give our expertise on how to thrive in business and in personal development, because we need to do all of these things. This is what's going to help us in the future as we move from mankind to humankind. And so, and then, you can reach out to me at my email, Chantalynn@chantalynn.com. I love to support you with a coaching session if anybody needs. I'm all about giving you a taste and sense of what it's like to have unconditional love and support. And I also do this process called Ho'oponopono for people now. And it's a Hawaiian tradition of forgiveness, because we need to forgive ourselves for all the things we've done. Because if we look back, we've all done the best we could in that moment. And then you got to let it go, and you got to process some of that. And also clearing, releasing people, things, relationships that no longer serve you, that just weighing you down, so that you can, again, come from a place of light. Because we're meant to be light. You're not meant to bring all that trauma with you everywhere you go. Right. You start to dissipate some of that and drop it off some, so that you can thrive for where you want to go. Yeah. And so that's would be my offer for now. And that's what I'm up to. I'm writing all this, stories. And again, all the triggers is helping me, because I want it to be a story of inspiration. I feel like if little old me can do it, you all can too. Because we all have our own challenges. All of us. Right. It's the human experience. Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. And again, you're so involved in so many things. And you also have your beauty business. So there are many, many things that you can help people with right now. And I think, anybody should take advantage of that offer too.
Yes, it could be as simple as cleaning out your makeup kits, and make sure you use clean green beauty companies that are into sustainability. I also recently at 52 learned to ride a scooter. I ride an electric scooter a few weeks ago. And my 14-year-old and I are like, oh, we love this. And every time I find a product that I like, I kind of want to sell it to people. So it's another stream of income.
There you go.
We sell these beautiful, luxurious Italian design electric scooters, because, I'm all about sustainability, zipping around town and having so much fun. So,
that's so fun. I love that.
I want all my friends to have it. So I'm very big on, getting my friends in and give you a discount.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to talk to you about that later. Yes. My daughter's birthday is coming up. That sounds fun.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's like the most beautiful scooter I've seen, and I love it. And I've ridden it 3 times now, and it goes up to 15 miles an hour, and it folds right down.
Oh gosh, that's crazy.
With no car on the road right now, it's a perfect time to zip about town and not be afraid, Yeah.
Wow.
I'm into nutrition. I actually have an extensive knowledge regarding nutrition. I believe in, regenerative agriculture, because same thing, it's time to give back to the soil more than we take. And with the soil health, it will solve a lot of the world problem, because if you have rich soil, it will retain water versus run off into oceans and lakes, And when you have good biodiversity, you have more nutrient dense foods. And it's the same thing when I treat my gut. The gut biome is the same as the soil biome. It's all about biodiversity. And I think more talk should be with this corona about how to boost your immune system.
I know.
I'd rather talk about that than vaccines or how to treat, yes, that would be for the frontline workers. But for me, let's not get it in the first place. So be smart, be safe, practice good protocol, and boost your immune system up.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. If anybody came into this show with anxiety, sadness, anger, stress, I can't imagine that they don't feel better from just listening to you. So thank you so much.
There is a way, right? We just have to be open to, there are resources. I'm more than happy to be part of that. And, we can help to do that, because I think right now, really important to get grounded, to get center, to get strong, and to protect yourself, be smart. And then to envision being here for the aftermath, like for the long run, for that beautiful future where we need to help everyone else.
Thank you. I'm just going to end on that because that was so lovely. And thank you so much for coming. And Tony, thank you so much, ubngo.com. And I will see you next Wednesday at 1:00. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you, Tony. Have a great day.